What's going on, everybody? You are watching the Packers Report, and on today's show, we got a loaded one because I got some big-time updates on Jaire Alexander and all the trade rumors surrounding the former Pro Bowl cornerback. It seems like things a couple weeks ago took a little bit of a dip down, and everybody kind of thought, hey, maybe Jaire will be back in Green Bay. But after a most recent article, my opinion might have changed. Stick around. We're going to dive all into that. Before that, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button because we've been battling Bears now all of April, and it is an incredibly tight race. We currently are in second place right behind them by only 9 subs. We get 10 subs off today's video. We get even more than that. We jump into a big first place lead. So if you have not yet, go ahead, hit that big red subscribe button so that way we can prove to Bears now that we really run the NFC North. Alrighty. Jason B. Hirschhorn tweeted this out yesterday. The Packers have received trade interest in cornerback Jaire Alexander, but a deal is not considered imminent, according to Tom Silverstein. GM Brian Gutekunst has previously said that the team wants to get something for Alexander if he is not going to remain in Green Bay. This offseason with Jaire has been absolutely wild. Lots of ups, lots of downs, lots of question marks. But Tom Silverstein hopes to clear up a little bit. Here's what he had to say. Not much has been revealed publicly about Gutekunst's attempts, but according to 2 league sources monitoring Alexander's situation, the Packers have received interest in a trade and remain committed to waiting for a deal to be made instead of cutting him. A source said the Packers appeared close to making a deal at the start of free agency, but the combination of the trade compensation and Alexander's unwillingness to cut his salary to fit the team's other salary cap have made it difficult to close a deal. And like I said off the top, this takes a turn from last week because last week we heard from Brian Gutekunst. And by all accounts, he was pointing to a possibility of Jaire Alexander remaining on this team. Matt Schneidman tweeted out this exact direct quote from Brian Gutekunst on the Alexander possibly remaining a Packer. Quote, it could be a possibility, absolutely. And now this most recent article by Tom Silverstein seems to say and seems to denote that Green Bay is still actively trying to trade him, but Jaire really isn't helping with those trade requests, which by all means, that's his right. He might not want to leave and he might not want to take a pay cut. I know I wouldn't either. But still, it's sitting here. Green Bay wants him gone. I feel like Jaire probably wants out of Green Bay, but not bad enough to take that big of a pay cut. And if he's not going to take a pay cut, then Green Bay wants a little bit more, but those teams aren't willing to offer it. It's a big round and round and round circle that so far neither side has found an exit to. So take a guess. Well, what will Green Bay do with Jaire Alexander? Do you think they'll trade him, or do you think they will keep him? Last week, I would have been typing K for keep. Today, I'm probably typing T for trade. You let me know your answer in the comment section down below. I want to talk about that quote again from Tom Silverstein because there was an interesting wording in it. Fit the other team's salary cap is very interesting to me. Here's more exactly what he had to say. Alexander's unwillingness to cut his salary to fit the other team's salary cap have made it difficult to close a deal. And so that kind of has me, putting on my thinking cap, putting on my detective hat and saying, if he has to cut his salary to fit the other team's salary cap, it's most likely a team that's in the bottom region of NFL salary cap rankings. And so 2 teams of interest kind of went into my mind. Number 1, the Baltimore Ravens. Because they're right now sitting with $7.77 million in cap space. And if they do trade for Jaire Alexander, they would most likely want him to take a pay cut so they could fit in that range. And then the New York Giants as well. Now, that might have changed since they've signed Paulson Adebo, but they currently sit with negative $8.68 million in cap space, meaning they're $8 million over the cap, which means I've got a feeling they might have been the team that wanted to trade for him at the beginning of free agency, but he wouldn't take the pay cut, so they weren't able to make it work with his salary. I'm just going to tell you right now, I don't think Alexander will be a Packer in 2025. I know that opinion of mine has kind of fluctuated. There's been times where I think he was. There's been times where I think he wasn't. But as it sits right now with our most recent update, if I were a betting man, I would bet that he's not wearing green and gold in the next couple of months, okay? Whether that's by trade or whether that's by cutting him. Tom Silverstein had more to say on the trade. Since most of the league knows that the Packers don't intend to keep Alexander, they aren't hurrying to make a deal, figuring he eventually will be cut. Alexander is a vested veteran, so he is not subject to waivers and can negotiate with whomever he likes if he is cut. So coming up, I've got some more on Jaire Alexander, giving you more insight, more updates, more of my thoughts on the entire trade and all of that matter. But I want to hear from you guys, okay, because this is a really confusing situation. So if you guys are also confused on what's happening, let me know. Cast your vote by hitting that thumbs up button, okay? Because if I'm you and if I'm me, I'm sitting here. I got no clue what's about to happen. I'm liking this video. Let me know if you are just as confused as I am. So let's catch you up on the timeline. This is pretty much everything that's happened over the past couple of months, and I want to keep us all locked in so we're staying up to date. So January 13th, day after the final game of the season, the loss to the Philadelphia Eagles in the wild card round of the playoffs. It was the locker room clean out comment that really started all of this. That was the, I don't want to say the straw that broke the camel's back because that's not what I'm trying to say. The first domino that fell, rather. Kelly Hallinan with the tweet saying when Jaire Alexander was asked to speak with the media at locker room clean out, he declined, saying he doesn't even know if he's going to be here next year. Said he didn't have anything good to say. So he definitely wasn't going to talk. So that's what started it. And then over a month and a half later, Ian Rappaport came out with a bombshell report about 2 weeks before the NFL free agency period started and saying, sources, the Packers have had trade conversations centered around star cornerback Jaire Alexander, and they're open to moving him for the right price. And then, about a month after that, a little less than that, 3 weeks, Rob Demovsky reported of ESPN, and we've showed you this quote before. We're going to keep talking about it because it's relevant to the situation. He said, while Alexander remains on the roster, the Packers are still trying to trade him. And a source close to the player, they could wait indefinitely, but most likely would prefer to get something done before next month's draft. So then after that one, I was like, okay, it seems like a done deal. That was just a month ago. And then Goody came out last week, and we've already showed you this tweet, but he had a ton of optimism, it seemed, around Jaire Alexander. And it seemed like there was a chance from Nat Schneiderman that it could be a possibility. Absolutely. That's exactly what Brian Gutekunst had to say when he was asked if there's a possibility that Jaire Alexander remains a Packer. And so everything that's happened, and Tex, you can go ahead and push that across. Everything that's happened from January 13th to right now has just been an up and down roller coaster where nobody really knows what's going to happen next. And my take on this whole thing, as we kind of put this all in a little bow, for a trade, right, for Jaire Alexander to be off this team from a trade, the draft always seemed to be the deadline, in my opinion. It was always going to be, could they get it done by April 24th because they want to get some kind of draft compensation this year for him. They believe he's still a valuable asset. They want to make sure they're getting what they think he is worth. But if a trade isn't done by then, I think because of the money aspect and most importantly, his lack of being able to be on the football field, he will be released. That's just my thoughts on it. Because if you look at the last 4 seasons, 4 games played in 2021, shoulder injury. 2022, massive step up, 16 games played. That's great. But then in 2023 and 2024, back-to-back 7-game seasons. Back-to-back seasons where he missed 10 or more football games. So that means in 3 of the last 4 years, he combined to play 18 games. Basically, you've gotten 1 season out of him and 3 of those last 4 years combined. So what say you? Will Jaire Alexander be a Packer in 2025? Give me a yes, give me a no in the comment section down below and weigh in with your answer. If he's not, which as of today I don't think he will be, I got some draft targets for you to look at. We've looked at these guys a lot. We're going to continue doing that until the draft is here in just 8 days. Round 1, Jahdae Barron, I think is the only option. Hook 'em horns, heck yeah, Tex. He is, I think, possibly the best cornerback in this draft. I think I like him a little bit more than even Will Johnson. I think Will Johnson is going to go before Jahdae Barron. I think there's a world where he possibly falls to 23. I don't think it's a common one, but if he does, I think that's the round 1 pick to look at. Rounds 2, you got a ton of options. Trey Amos out of Ole Miss, Siobhan Revel Jr. out of East Carolina, Maxwell Harrison out of Kentucky, and Benjamin Morrison out of Notre Dame. All of those guys would be really great options. All of those guys would give Keyshawn Nixon and anybody else in this cornerback room a run for a starting spot. And all of those guys, I would feel confident in taking a lot of solid minutes, important downs in the upcoming 2025 NFL season. There's one that I feel more confident about, Trey Amos, Maxwell Harrison in particular, over Siobhan Revel Jr. and Benjamin Morrison. But still, at the crux of it all, I think any of those guys can play football at the next level. Make sure you guys hit that subscribe button because we've got all the latest on Jaire Alexander for you right here on the Packers Report. And if you haven't joined us yet, right now is the best time to do so. Hit that sub button. We'll see you next time.